There we go. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, live show number 557 from beautiful Netherlands. Um, yes, we're traveling international yet again. Although it's a little misty cool outside, which is always enjoyable coming from the Florida weather, that we have cool, cloudy. It's just a nice transition. All good enough, that sense to it. But anyway, thank you again so much for joining us. For those around the world in all 209 countries that we broadcast the TV channel in, thank you so much for joining us on the live time slot, even though it might be an odd time zone that you're in. And of course, for those that are catching us on the recasting of this, that happens at 11:30 a.m. Sydney, Australian time, and 11:30 a.m. London time, both on Wednesdays. For our APAC, EU, and Mideast friends. Thank you so much for catching us on the replay. And of course, if you're watching us on the simulcast for Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and what have you, thank you so much. And of course, if you're catching us on the audio portion on Hospitality Radio, broadcasting in 39 of its own countries on digital radio stations around the world, thank you for that. And always, for those that watch our translations in 11 language, captioned below, thank you for catching us in your native language as well. Hopefully it is helpful for you in the constant conversations that I have with myself, little voices. Anyways, it is the beginning of April 2026, and we are past the first quarter. All the numbers are being crunched right now as to our first quarter. People are patting themselves on the back on what looks to be a positive first quarter, as we have talked in the past two shows. The admonishment being a lot of the impact that we saw in the first quarter was related to pre-war or pre-military incursion, or whatever the new political flavor name of dropping bombs is. The impact of that, gas prices, of course, for domestic travel, international travel as well, shortages globally in places APAC is already having. Philippines have already announced energy crisis, shortage. They're beginning to control their energy consumptions, and so forth and so on. So there is a very large global impact to what's going on. That's not what we're here talking about today in particular. It's more of a current event statement to what's happening. That it is going to have an influence on our second quarter. How much is to be seen in that sense? Can't imagine it being a positive impact to it, but there are certain markets, domestic-wise, that might have a benefit for people deciding to constrict their travel plans for summer. Now that we're past the spring break action going on, it is Easter and Passover this weekend for Christianity. And so we're now past the spring market. We're now into a shoulder transition going through April. Still spring business, but not spring break business in that sense. We'll see how that turns into our second quarter transition going into the summertime demand, as to how that influences people's travel decisions and their financial capability for travel, given the variations on cost of gas and transportation and flights. The TSA issue domestically in the United States seems to be partially resolved, mostly resolved. We'll see as time goes forward with that, but it is easing a lot of the negative press that the flights were getting at the time. We'll see how that works out as time goes forward for the second quarter. But for our topic today, first week of April 2026, I want to talk a little bit about a continuation of a conversation that we had related to AI, the discoverability, and how our market world right now is changing for market messaging, how the market messaging is not as in our control as much before. If you want to go back in time and in history, the madmen of the 1960s and what have you, is you have this belief and ability to control what you wanted to say about your company. Very few people knew very little about your company outside of what you as a company would say about yourself. Your advertisement, your mission statements, your public image was very cultivated and controlled by your PR agencies and your advertising agencies, so that people saw your company the only way you wanted it to be described. Now, that's going way back in time. And as time went through from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, that began to get more and more diluted as more and more channels of marketing began to get open, more means for people to understand and see you. And up until the huge transition of news coverage, where it turned in from covering news to just having an opinion or a cultivated opinion about things, you only got things in the news that were reported through journalism. Now you have social media, you have other venues of expression and communication where people can make a statement about it. And if it's repeated enough, it turns into some sort of factual virility that people are saying because they saw it enough that it must be true. So we have, over time, the point I'm trying to make is, lost control of our ability to cultivate our message as to what our company, what our business is. We have our messaging that we have, and then we have what is said about us in consumer content, sentiment, feedback, social, interactive, and so forth. And then you have what is from a user experience of firsthand. Our customers have their own voice in which, beyond just the reviews and the comments and the social media, they can collaborate or corroborate what others are saying about your business with or without your input to this. And that creates a new paradigm. Because now, this is the topic for today, it's not what you say that you sell, it's what you are that sells. And what I mean by that is, when you put out an offer, a marketing statement, summertime specials, spring deals, things that are traditionally marketing messages of a call to action, of a function that you want them to be aware of, that you have a discount offer, you have some special information you want to put out there to help sell what you're trying to sell. That there's a whole lot of other conversation around that is not under your control. That is what you've said about yourself. That is what you said you want to do with this. But then somebody might have a perspective of what you're offering from an entirely different vantage. And that feedback from consumers and from other groups, sometimes your competition, sometimes your consumers, sometimes just your non-advocates and your advocates, can craft what you think is a well-intended message into a lost statement where it just resonates poorly or is tone deaf into its messaging. And that's the reality, that because you're no longer in controlling of the message, a lot of what you are is from what is discovered about you. So if you do a promotion, if you have a special, if you have something that you find unique that you want to put into an audience that is cultivated to what you want to say about yourself, or why people would want to do business with you, a lot of that is based on the discoverability of that content. So if you have a summertime special for a length of stay, for certain dates and so forth, and you have an ad that runs for that, hey, catch our summer special, get it now while the availability is still there, whatever call to actions that you have for it. The reality of it is, it's going to be found out of the contents of that content. Search engines, one, will find and crawl and use that data and say, okay, you're looking for this, here's a meta result of your rates and dates that you have interested in. But now with generative AI and long language model discovery, AI search, for lack of a better way, this information is cultivated from you. You're now a content provider. So even though what you say you want to sell, oh, I have this rates and these offers and this limited time offer and so forth and so on, the reality of it is all of that functionality of data in your booking engine, on your website, and the content you've generated for it, the links that you've used in reference to it, everything gets pulled and used in generative AI now to sell it for you. They're going to take what you're saying you're doing, what your product is, and they're going to use it for whatever answer they contrive for it. It also means that if any of the data and the content that you're providing for it is placed available for it to be found, which is what you want to do with SEO optimization, SEM optimization, and of course, generative optimization, then really it isn't about the ad that you're writing anymore. It's really about what is the content that you've created. That's what sells. So what I mean by, it's not what you say you sell, your marketing message, your ad. It's more of what you are that sells. This is my offer. This is my rate. These are my dates associated with it. This is my product. This is my restaurant. This is my spa. This is my location. This is my relationship to my domestic, my destination market. That's the content that will be the driving force. I say that in connection to our conversation from 2 shows back, where Google was able to thread the needle about becoming a utility without burning one of its largest monetization resources and OTAs, advertisement, with them, by simply saying, hey, we're going to use Gemini, and your hotels, if they wish to connect, will give us their availability of inventory and rates. And in the content of our Gemini results, We as a utility, as a tool, will simply provide what we're aware of data-wise in our generative response using Gemini. So as we said a couple of weeks back, if I'm looking for a particular experience and a particular location for particular dates and have particular interest in what that room consists of or amenities or what have you, and your hotel hits all of those qualifications of content that the Gemini, the generative AI, was able to discover, right now, without that connection to your rooms and rates, it will show all that relevance saying, well, hey, here's the XYZ hotel. It has the room type that you're interested in. This is the average rates associated with them. This is all the things that you were looking for that this place has. At that point, you can begin to ask more specific questions. Well, generative AI, and Gemini in particular right now, and all other generative AIs are following suit, the chat, GPTs, the Perplexities, and what have you. They're all going over and wanting to have more connected data to the exact rates and the exact inventory that you have in your system for what was queried with by the user, where they're saying, hey, I want to go for these dates or have these particular things. Now in the answer, not they're just talking about your hotel and what it can be discovered. In general, they're now actually able to show specifically, here's a room, or these are the room type, or this is the promotion type, or the code type with that you qualify for type. And here's the link for you to go deep into the booking engine directly to the hotel and complete the transaction, to literally bring you to that ZMOT, that zero moment of transaction, that allows the user to accurately define what they want without advertisement, without your marketing message and your ad campaigns and your Google ads and your Bing ads and your Facebook ads and what have you, and not with OTAs trying to get in the way and say, we can sell that product at this price, or we also have other things you might be interested in. Skipping all of that, it goes to the ability that you can simply describe what you're looking for with the interaction with your AI, the generative search. And through that qualification of discovery, generative AI, Gemini in particular at this moment, can come back and say, here's what I found based on everything you've asked. And here exactly is a place that has all of that with the next iteration of your ability to go in and book it. This also expands past your rooms and rates. It also, with Google's ability for their event-driven based platforms, it allows you to book a cabana, book a spa, book a restaurant reservation, book an event and get tickets. All of those functionalities are being fed now through Gemini to the users using Gemini, so that if they're thinking quantitatively about an experience that they're going to this, a certain city because of a certain concert for a certain set of dates, and they want a certain hotel that has a certain type of room that's in a certain distance of the event, that has a certain discount because of that event or what have you, or has some amenity that you want, whether it has shuttle service to the event, or it has a spa, or it has golfing or a restaurant that you like or what have you. All of that can now be brought back to you in the search result, clearly specifying the hotel because it has that information connected to your hotel of your rooms, your rates, your availability of your restaurant, availability of your spa, availability of your shuttle, whatever it is that needs to be made the reservations for. And it can go to and find exactly what the next step would be for you, the user, that it can't do for you. It can't control your financial purchase decision, which you really wouldn't want it to do. And make it available in the answer it constructs for you. So it says, well, here's this hotel. Everything you asked about for the dates that you asked about, for the room type you asked about, with the amenities you asked about, for the services you asked about are all here. Here's the link. Do you want to book? Here's the link. Do you want to get a reservation at the restaurant? Here's the link. Do you want to go over and reserve for the shuttle? Here's a link for whatever else it is that you had asked about. And it makes it available in the answer. All of that has nothing to do with whether you had an ad saying you could do that. And I say nothing as being with an asterisk, because if you built the content around that, if you built a good page on your website about the event, and you've built a good content on that page about the amenities you have in relationship to that event, and you have good content on your website, and this is the critical component that Google says, you have to have good schema that identifies all these things, the link that goes to your booking, the link that goes to the information that you have, that your schema is very well defined, in addition to having access to your inventory type and your ability to book these things, then Google's Gemini can offer this in its generative answers to users. So if that's the case, then as an advertiser making an ad that says, I have this offer for this event, for these dates, for this package offer, or what have you, that does get used by generative AI to maybe say, I found this code that allows this discount with these amenity additions because you put it out there in content. It also found the page that you had all the information on related to the event to make sure that it was able to identify you as the better value for what the user was asking for in its use of the generative platform, Gemini. And it also has the ability to tap into your inventory to offer very specific solutions of room checking in, or excuse me, room purchase, restaurant reservation, what have you, directly in the response. That's a big, huge leap over a lot of what's going on right now. A lot of right now is you have branded, non-branded campaigns, you're running ads, you're putting ads in targeted audiences, you're making sure that you say what you want to say about what you're offering. It goes to a well-defined content page associated with that. That allows the user to go and hopefully move into the next phase, which is the acquisition, the purchase of things. The traditional funnel that we're used to. We have OTAs that are advertising against us. We have our competitors trying to vie for the same audience. All that gets blurred into the gray around the fact that now a user can go into their computer and with Gemini, define what they find of interest, and with Gemini's responsive engagement with you to clarify, well, would this be something you're interested in? I found a hotel that has this but doesn't have that. Whatever it is, be able to bring you to an actual link for conversion for the inventory that you have available. That's the variance between it's no longer about what you say you sell, as it is now, it is what you are that sells you. Your content, your offers, your availabilities. It does require very good, strong schema. Actually, let's go up the tier. It requires good methodology that you know what you want to offer. So there's good structure to packages, rates, value, perception of product that you want. So that's clear. Good content development for what that promotion product is. So good SEO for that. Then that is properly identified in schema specific to the things that you know are highlighted for the event or the dates, whatever it is that's the catalyst for this promotion. And then from that, you have your inventory already tethered to Google, through Google Hotel Ads, that allows them to see all the information they need related to the dates associated with the event, the promotion codes associated with it from the advertisement, the content, and what have you. So it knows in all of that context of content, schema, and connectivity, it can put back into the results in the generative communication with the user, the specific way that user can click and book directly with you. And again, that does not come into play with your ad sets, your targeting of your ad sets, the channel use of whether you're sending an email versus sending or having a paid campaign, or whether you're doing video or whether you're doing images, whether you're doing click to call. All those are viable. All of those still have value. All of those still should not be done. But you have to now make sure you have this part of your entity also covered with proper content and schema and connectivity. And that's the new variation, that it's less about how you want to frame what you want to say you're selling, and more about making sure that what you're selling is well defined and clear, easy to find, and it'll be used by generative that way. So apologize for being such a shorter show today. I really want to make this point out because this is a very active thing that's going on right now. It's transitionally, I think in the next few months, at least by the end of this year, you're going to see this is going to be, if not the major thing of focus with a lot of businesses, as it is the fact that it's going to turn into a mainstay service function for so many places, that you're going to have to reevaluate your 2026 in the sense of making sure that you have adequately invested in the content creation, optimization, schema refinement, and usability and connectivity that's needed so that generative AI platforms, beyond just Gemini, but into the ChatGPTs, the Perplexities, and what have you, have the option and capability of tapping into all this that is needed, so that in its generative results can be very specific about how the user can literally bypass advertisement, bypass OTAs, bypass everything else, and go directly to your connectivity, your direct channel connectivity, to book what it is that answers their question of what they're looking for. So, again, for everyone, thank you so much for watching the 209 countries we broadcast to, the radio station in 39 countries that we go over and have our audio cast to. The show, of course, is to be found on hospitalitychannel.tv, along with all of our other shows and podcasts. It's available there. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback from our conversation or content today, you can reach me at lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. I answer each and every email that comes through for the show or for the podcast. In all circumstances, we do have an app on Apple iOS or Google Play, also called the Hospitality Channel. The show is always on the free side. There's a paid gateway for additional content if you're interested. If you are a hospitality professional, hospitality marketing professional in particular, you wish to join a peer level group that is a journeyman level conversation. This isn't for people that are at the bottom trying to get in. It's you're doing it. This is your occupation, and you need a peer group to collaborate with. Join us on hospitalitymarketing.club. Put your email in. I send a quiz. Validate you are an active hospitality marketer. Send you an invite, and you join our group. It's not on Facebook or LinkedIn. There's nothing to be discovered on that side for that. This is a separate platform that runs our community, which is a lot of fun, where a lot of the content that we discuss on the show comes from. So with that, my name is Lauren Gray. I thank you for the privilege of your time and look forward to talking to you all next week.